4 minutes until showtime. 3 minutes until showtime. 2 minutes until showtime. 1 minute until showtime. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Insurrection, obstruction, indictments, civilly liable for sexual abuse. The one man responsible for all that could be sitting in a prison cell on election day and still be elected commander-in-chief for these United States. That man is beholden to Putin, weakened NATO the last time around, and is currently tying himself to wealthy Saudi oil money. He enriched himself when government stayed at his property. He campaigned on wanting to use government to go after his political rivals and wants to expand executive power. If Donald Trump is reelected, our nation is lost. So let's roll up our sleeves, get to work, and tell the MAGA folks no more before it's too late.
Welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana. To join the conversation, it's area code 914-803-4131. That is 914-803-4131. If you're calling in, please make sure, unless I already know who you are, to leave your area code and first name in the chat, or just your username if I know you by your username, either way. And we'll get you on as soon as we can. Also, you can join us in the chats on liberaldanradio.com, which is the YouTube channel, and twitch.tv/liberaldanradio. Both of those chats are monitored. We do not monitor the Blog Talk Radio chat. So if you're there, just come hang out with us in those other places. You can also support the show by liking the video on YouTube, sharing it, subscribing to the channel if you've not already done so. Become a Liberal Danimal on YouTube, buy super chat, super stickers. It is the start of September over on Twitch. If you've never subbed to Liberal Dan Radio on Twitch before, or nerdydan.com, either way, you can get, I think it's like 30% off of your regular sub pricing, and I'm thinking I probably still get the same amount that I get. So if you wanted to support the show and have it be a little more cheaper, get more bang for your buck, you can go over to twitch.tv/liberaldanradio or twitch.tv/nerdydan.com. Either way, both of those are my channels, and you can subscribe accordingly. You can also spend bits over there and gift subscriptions too. It is the beginning of the 13th season of Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left. That's right. I've been doing a podcast for about 12 years now. It only really started to, start getting good very recently, but I've been doing it for a long time. So if you want to, celebrate 13 years of Liberal Dan in any way, if you want to do a super chat, super sticker, or whatever, 1313, lucky 13, whatever it is, or however, you could Venmo Liberal Dan on Venmo. You could buy me 13 ciders if you want, whatever. Anyway, this is just 13th year, new start. Hopefully we'll finish this year off with a good election result and continue on into the next year with a good new president instead of a bad one. Let's go check out the chat. Got Aaron West feeling good enough to be in the chat. I'm glad. I've been checking up over the weekend, making sure our friend is doing well. Steve from across the pond. We got John, the Goddess Kimchi, Jeff, if I haven't said Jeff already, Janelle, Roxanne, you don't have to put on the red light, Surrender Monkey. I think I hit everybody so far who's currently chatted in the chat. Just again, remember to smash that like button, share the stream, get more people involved. The more interactions that we get with the channel, be they on lives, be they on posted videos that I've posted already, etc. I posted a couple of shorts from the last show because I had a very big unanticipated rant on abortion rights from the last show, so I was able to kind of make a couple of those rants into shorts. So those might be good things to share if you're a supporter of body autonomy, if you think that Rovember is important. Kind of share those away. Maybe also encourage maybe your male friends to speak out a little more about the issue, because I think we definitely need more male voices. I think we did have, a while back, we saw, I think, Doug Emhoff calling for more men being vocal about it, and I'm going to continue being vocal about it, especially when we have people coming in the chat trying to downplay the threat of these new laws that have been passed since Trump's abortion overturning of Roe v. Wade by this activist conservative Supreme Court, ever since he got his way. And he hasn't fully gotten his way, because remember, Donald Trump was the one that says that he believes that there should be punishment for the woman who goes and gets an abortion. So if you get an abortion, Donald Trump believes that you should be punished, not just the doctor, but you. He may be playing around and saying things like, I want to, I want IVF to be legal. I want IVF to be covered. I want IVF to, whatever. He might have that, that he's just giving lip service to. He might say that he doesn't like the Florida ban because it's early as 6 weeks and 6 weeks is just too soon. Well, you know what? You know what caused that? You dumbass. You and your dumbass Supreme Court nominees who got confirmed, who then overturned Roe v. Wade, allowing states like Texas and Louisiana and Florida to all, ban abortion ridiculously so. Of course, my policy here, the policy I support is pro-choice, no exception. Let people determine who they are, let people determine what they want to make about their decisions about their own body, because nobody is, the vast majority of people, nobody has waited to the third trimester to get an abortion by choice. The only people who are in the third trimester and aborting at that point are people like Kate Cox who have problems and need help. But I'm frankly a little sick and tired of hearing conservatives, because whenever you bring up Kate Cox and other folks like Kate Cox, where there was a health issue and you had to take action, well, how few are those? It's very rare that it happens. Okay. So if it's very rare that happens, how about I flip that back around on y'all and say it's very rare that anybody has abortions in the third trimester, so why are you worrying about it? That's what we need to start doing. We need to start flipping the argument around on them, instead of letting them say, well, these situations where people's health is in danger, it's very rare, so why are we talking about it? Just say, no, abortion in the third trimester is very rare, and as such, why are you worrying about it? Throw their bad logic back on them, make them answer that question, and if they can find some way to answer the question without seeming like a total and complete idiot, which, I doubt they can, but even if they can, you can then say, well, fine, see, you made an argument to why something should be considered even though it's rare, then I'm making the same argument as to why it also needs to be considered, that we need to make sure that people can protect their own lives and their own health. So it drives me absolutely up the wall that these people just can't want to just push people's lives to the side because their condition is rare. It's rare. F you. It's not rare. It's not rare enough to not worry about it. Dan, the red light is no longer on. What does that mean? What does that mean, Roxanne? I don't know what that means. I left a comment on last stream about you saying hollow ground after the show. I heard it was Trump's spokesperson that said hollow ground. I apologize. No problem. There you go. I knew. I was reading a direct quote from the article. So I do appreciate apologies, though. It's always good. So hold on a second. Let me go. I need to yell something at. Hello, I'm back with Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right. And, kids are yelling at each other, and they're, in my, I can hear them. I don't know if y'all can hear them, but they've been rather argumentative today. Maybe it's just the long weekend. I don't know. Oh, Roxanne, the red light's no longer on. Okay. I sang the song about putting on the red light, and you said the red light's not on. Okay. I was sitting here thinking I was having a technical difficulty, forgetting that I made a joke already about the topic. So, anyway, I'm going to have to yell this again because they're being annoying. Hold on. We're back again with more Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right. How is my new puppy? My new puppy is good. The amount of accidents in the house have reduced significantly, but have not gone to zero yet, clearly. Took him for his first vet appointment. He got all of his shots that he needs. We're bringing him back in 3 weeks or so from Friday, and we'll see how he goes. But so far, he's been a little bit overly rambunctious today as well. My Blanche, my older dog, is just about had it up to here with him, and his wanting to play and his playing is wanting to be maybe a little snippy or whatever, because that's what dogs do, and she's just had enough. The best thing is, like, we had a deck built to the pool that we got. We got a pool done during COVID so we could actually still go swimming in the middle of the pandemic. And then we had a friend of ours build a deck to the pool so it's easier to get up and into, especially with my size or whatever. So Blanche has basically figured out that the puppy does not know how to climb the stairs yet, especially given the fact that he only has 3 full legs. And so when she gets tired of him, she will just go run up onto the deck and be like, I'm just going to sit up here now. You can't get me. Haha. So it's it's funny when that happens. So what else to talk about? Reasons why you should be listening to, be watching, and sharing videos from the Unraveling Toxic Masculinity playlist that I have. As we've from time to time in the show, I'll encounter videos, either shorts or longer videos or snippets of clips from these men's rights activists, MGTOW, red pill, blue, whatever pill, podcasts with terrible people on them making terrible points, promoting ideas that are toxic. And so I do responding to them, just kind of go through why their arguments are bad. And this isn't just something that you're just going to see on YouTube or on any other video-based platform. I encountered several of these folks in the wild on Facebook and having conversations about, I think it might have been something about wrestling. I think there was some wrestling maneuver that somebody did where it was one person was pinning the other, and the way that it was pinned, some of the guys were like, wow. And then some of the other guys were like, well, that's not very manly of you if you would have her do that to you that way. And I'm like, somebody needs to have their toxic masculinity unraveled or whatever. Or somebody needs unraveling toxic masculinity, because I made a Facebook group for it. And I was just like, you know what? And they were kind of going back and forth, and the person came up and was like, what do you think is a leader? What type of person do you think is a leader, a natural leader, or somebody, whatever? And I'm like, well, definitely it's not somebody who punches in walls and drywall. And the person's like, well, clearly, no, that's true, but how do you know somebody is somebody who's going to punch walls and drywall? And I'm like, exactly. How do you know that? How do you know that the individual who is, you're basically, but you're judging the person based off of what they look, i.e. if they're men or not, as to whether or not they could be leaders, and you're basing this off of antiquated ideas that are of antiquated gender stereotypes that don't necessarily fit in today's standards, and you're doing an appeal to tradition because, since we've always drawn, for a long time at least, many of our leaders have come from men, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the right way of doing things. So, again, many appeals to tradition amongst the MGTOW, red pill, blue pill, whatever pill folk, and because I've been practicing responding to their videos, I was ready to be able to handle the arguments that were made. So if you know people who are, either surrounded by these kind of toxic dudes or whatever, if you know people that are surrounded by, or that who are just making themselves, either watch the videos so you're better prepared on how to deal with the toxic masculinity, or just share one of the videos and be like, look, maybe you need to unravel your own toxic masculinity, because if you don't, it's going to go into bad places. And so that so I found myself just kind of happy over the fact that I was able to utilize the skills that I learned while making those videos to be able to confront and deal with people who are continuously pushing toxic ideals of what masculinity should be. So, and you can too if you watch these videos. That's the part of the purpose of those videos are. I mean, you know, I also want to make the videos just so that my kids can watch it, just in case for some reason that as they're aging and if they for some reason they would not have me around, they'd be able to watch these videos and be able to get a little bit more pearls of wisdom, so to speak. Not to use the pun, because Pearl is one of the other people who makes these horrible videos. So, anyway, I do encourage. I encourage people just to go out there, watch them, share them, etc. I think they could do good. I think they could help dealing with the arguments that are made by these schmucks who basically want to maintain the status quo of men over women, and as such not have to, you know, confront any of their own issues, so to speak. So, Kimchi, have you watched The Public Offender? He lets the idiots call on a show on their asses as we chat, make fun of the lack of the say high worth. It's fun and useful. I have not. When I let the idiots call in, some people get angry. So, I mean, the idiots are more than welcome to call in, and I'll deal with the stupidity. I mean, I've given plenty of them rope to hang themselves. I'd love to be able to have. It's like Dude. Dude has posts the debates from or Tommy, who is known as Dude on YouTube as his handle. But Tommy, he uses TikTok as the main place to get the debates going. But he'll debate the idiots all the time, and he won't bring on liberal folks for the most part. He just brings on conservatives and then debates them. But I don't know. Last time I was trying to debate the people here, I got some I got some pushback from some in the chat who didn't like hearing them. So I would love to have more call-ins and have more discussions with people who call in, and again, let themselves have as much rope as they need to be able to, you know, proverbially hang themselves at least. So, but, you know, I want to keep y'all happy too, right? So, let's see what. Sometimes it gets to be too much. I watch guys mow lawns for free for people. Interesting. Watched Ketchup Face Von Shits in Pants play golf today. Pitiful. I mean, you know, he did shit in his pants during the debate with Joe Biden. Me and Hal both shared that video, and it's hilarious. So, let's see. Oh, hey, Nerd Misha, good to see you. Again, just as a reminder to everybody, this is the season 13 premiere of Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right. I've been doing this for 12 whole years. This is the start of the 13th. Episode 1 of season 13. So, what a great day to just share stuff, get support out there, get more comment on videos, like videos, share videos, etc. All that good stuff. 1313 super chats would also be cool, but you know, if you can't afford it, I also understand that as well. So, you know, that's, you know, sometimes there's like the 666 when Hal hit 666. Well, I've hit 13 for my years doing this, so we'll see. Or if we just share 13 videos, maybe that might even be a good way of doing things. Share 13 videos. Make 13 different comments on other videos. Like 13 new videos that you haven't liked before. Do something 13 related to help the show grow. That would be the great thing. So, let's see. Kimchi, TPO is not political, strictly anti-patriarchy, capitalism, and misogyny. How is that not political? To me, that would be very political, because there's, you know, I mean, unless you're going to call out both sides, which, I mean, I'll call out both sides too, but it seems those issues seem to be very well entrenched in our politics. Just saw a short video, I think TikTok, that was also on YouTube. Trump walking a song. I think I farted, but I shit, and now it squishes when I sit. LOL. Hilarious. What else? What else did I want to talk about before we get to the main topic of the show? There was something else I did want to bring up. Oh, yeah. There's the two very special episodes of Liberal Dan Radio. One of which is the living life as an obese person, which I think is the better of the two. I go into much more detail. There's much more stuff that I talk about. But there's also the living life as a Jewish person in America. That's another one that I did. And I had another reminder of that today because, as you may very well know, some of the hostages, the Israelis who were held hostage, including one Israeli American, were found dead. They were killed by Hamas, and it's disgusting. And I was sitting there, and for some reason I don't know why I waited on posting about it for a day or two afterwards on my personal page, but like part of it is that, hey, Surrender Monkey, thank you. Appreciate you for 10, is that 10 quid? Is that how you say that? But we have whatchamacallit. Yeah, so we have those people who were found dead, and what happened? Eventually I posted a video about this on my page. Now, not a video, the picture of the people who were unalived, as you have to say on TikTok, by Hamas. And one of the first responses that I got was from a friend of mine who immediately jumped into the amount of dead of Palestinians. And I'm like, and Netanyahu and whatever. And I was just like, this is why it's impossible to be Jewish. Like, especially in this country. It is literally impossible to just sit here and be Jewish. Because we as Jews cannot talk about our pain and our suffering without other people having to make it about other people. I was like, look, on my page, on my podcast, on everything that I've done since 10/7, I've been very vocal in my condemnations of Benjamin Netanyahu and how he's reacted to the 10/7 attacks and how he's going after Hamas. I've agreed with Vice President Harris when she talks about how that we need a ceasefire and that we need the hostages back and that Israel does have the right to defend itself, but how it defends itself matters. And I think that's the way to put it. I think that's one of the better ways to put it. So I appreciate that she's doing that. Of course, it's not good enough for some of the extremists who just are never going to care because all they want to repeat is the same old regurgitated lines about this, that, or the other. But I'm like, look, dude, I did not expect this from you. To his credit, this friend of mine did apologize and he retracted his statement, which is fine, which is good. But I was like, I didn't expect this from you. We as Jews just have this impossible standard that we have to deal with. We need to. We never get the opportunity to mourn what happens to us because people always have to make it about somebody else. And look, people should absolutely be talking about the wrongs that are going on in Gaza and anywhere else that Netanyahu is doing wrong. But the time to not do it is in a time when a Jewish person is bemoaning the loss of Jewish lives in a terrorist attack made by a terrorist organization who wants to eliminate all Jews. I think it's reasonable to want to be allowed to have that time to reflect without having it thrown back in our faces about anything else that's going on. And even then, I still made it a point to say, when I posted it, I was like, I disagree with the actions that Netanyahu has done, and I hope that justice comes for anybody who takes out innocent lives. And still then, I still got that comment. But he retracted his comment. But then somebody else came on the status, and it was a conservative guy trying to say, like, that's exactly how I feel about abortions and embryos and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, Jesus freaking Christ. Again, it's impossible for people to be Jewish in this country and just to be able to talk about the things that are painful to us because some people need to come in and make it about themselves and make it about their issues and make it about this, that, the other, and can't just be like, you know what, I understand the fact that you're a Jewish person living in a time where, well, I would say living in a time where, people are actively hating on Jews, but when has ever not been the time when that has happened? And, just leave it alone. Just drop your own person. Now, to this person, now, I try and make... I'm too nice. I think I'm too nice sometimes, because even for this guy, it's like, I understand why he's doing it, because he's a new convert. He's a very new convert to Catholicism, and he's very vocal about it, because that's a lot of the times what new converts do. I think they feel like they have to make up for lost time. They have to make up for the fact that that they weren't saved until now. So now that they're saved, now they need to, spew out more and more of the stuff that a normal person might. So not that I approve of it, not that I appreciate it anymore. I still don't appreciate the fact that the comment was made on my post, but I still understand the mindset as to why he's doing it, because he feels compelled to do it, because he feels that he has to prove, I guess, his new faith or what have you. But still, it's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass that it's something that we have to deal with. It's to me, it's probably what happens to a lot of marginalized people. It's almost like, I'm not going to say it's completely like, but it's almost like the people saying Black Lives Matter because of, Breonna Taylor or whoever else. We can go down the list. Laquan McDonald, Philando Castile, Alton Sterling. Everybody you want to talk about. When you say Black Lives Matter, and then they come, all lives matter. What about these people? We're not talking about those people. But thanks for hijacking the argument about that. The only one reason I won't say it's not exactly like all lives matter, because it's people still trying to bring up other marginalized people being killed. But, again, we should still be allowed to have these mourning and have people understand why it is absolutely just ridiculously difficult to be a Jewish person in today's society. Still. Like, I can sit here and argue for days about body autonomy, about abortion rights. I can sit here and argue for days about Black Lives Mattering, about trans rights, about things that don't directly affect me, and I don't get exhausted from it. I mean, the people who I'm arguing with may very well be exhausting, but I don't necessarily get exhausted by it in and of itself. But when it comes to having to justify my own right to exist, the fact that I should be able to exist, and I should be able to mourn, and I should be able to be afraid, and I should be able to, fear what might be coming next if something happens, that gets exhausting. And I don't know why about it, why it's more exhausting than anything else. Maybe it's just because of the fact that the stress of this could be coming for me because they're coming for other Jews. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but it's frustrating beyond all get out. Like, I have a new group that I'm a member of on Facebook, where it's basically just a bunch of Jewish people like sit here going, what the hell is going on? We used to feel safe around a lot of these people who are on the left, and now these people on the left are teaming up with Hamas, and, well, that just sucks, because Hamas is garbage. Hamas is a terrorist organization. Hamas is evil, and you should not be siding with them. Period. And because of, like, and especially when the people who are like Jewish and they're also like trans, and they're like, look, they're seeing people backing Hamas who, if you're trans in Gaza, you're effed. You have to be in the closet or you're done. Just over. Because for all everybody wants to say about Israel and how Israel shouldn't exist, well, Israel's the only nation in the area pretty much that protects abortion rights, that protects trans rights, that protects LGBTQA rights, etc. Simple as that. I mean, I think they don't have religious gay marriage maybe in Israel, but I think the marriage is not a marriage in the eyes of the state. It's a civil contract. So they get around. They don't necessarily call what the state sanctions marriage, but still, you have a lot more protections in Israel for LGBTQA rights, for abortion rights, etc., than you do anywhere else in that area. It's not to excuse anything Netanyahu does. Again, Netanyahu's garbage, and he should be dragged from The Hague for the fact that he knew about 10/7, or his administration knew about 10/7 coming and didn't do anything to stop it, and the fact that he's not going after Hamas in the right way. And I'll continue to criticize that, but that doesn't matter to a lot of the people who are on the pro-Hamas left, because as long as I think that Israel should still be a thing and a support of two-state solution, I'm a big, nasty, evil Zionist, and you know, I can't be trusted about these things. To the point of, I had a conversation with somebody a few weeks back about the individuals who were victims of sexual assault or more on 10/7, and these people who were leftists were saying, well, I don't believe them simply because they're Israeli. What happened to trusting the people who come forward and telling you that they were sexually assaulted? What happened to that movement? There was no asterisk there, except unless you're Israeli. Like, there was no asterisk there. It should count for everybody that comes forward as a victim, not just non-Israelis. And it just goes to show the hypocrisy that exists in these people who, I mean, there's always infighting amongst the left. I mean, there's always infighting a bunch of other people as well. But still, every group has their infighting. But these people have just jumped the shark. I don't know if that's the word for it. Sometimes I've used the term on the show, jump the shark activism, to talk about people who have gone too far with their activism and like, all right, you're done. You did not follow the assignment at all. But yeah. Tim, yeah, absolutely. It is hard to be a Palestinian in Gaza. It's hard to be anybody who's not Hamas in Gaza. Even before 10/7. If you were gay in Gaza, oh well. If you were whatever. Now, granted, I think that, you know, Israel would be like, look, let's let them have their own elections. Let's be hands off. Let's let them run their own country. 2-state, even 3-state solution. If you want to make Gaza one, you want to make West Bank another, make it 2 states. Make it 2 total states, and then make Israel the 3rd. Whatever works out the best. I've never quite understood how you have a 2-state solution without a real way to get between Gaza and the West Bank, but I still support a 2-state solution because, well, it should be one, because the Palestinian people who are there and who have been there shouldn't be treated as if they should have the rights to their own self-actualization. They should have the right to vote. They should have the right to control what goes on in their own country. But if they vote people in who are going to be like Hamas, which they haven't had elections since, I think, 2005, then that's going to be a problem. That's why you have to eliminate Hamas. So, Stephen, I can say every one of those snakes were trying to kill me. Are you quoting Yeah, John Deff, aren't Israelis rioting for a ceasefire currently? Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if they're rioting, but they're protesting. They're demanding to have a ceasefire because Netanyahu wrongly believes that the only way to do this is via military action, and the people are like, we need negotiations now. Because the people understand that if Netanyahu keeps bombing, that it's more and more likely that with more military action comes more death of the hostages. But Netanyahu needs to keep bombing because he needs to keep himself in power, because he needs to, once it's negotiated and done, well, then he has the possibility of him going off to prison. So, Steven Sayers, I wonder how long the hostages had been dead when found. I don't think it was very long. Hey, Jesse Tasrak, thank you for stopping by. Hey, Jolie, good to see you as well. Glad to see you today. See, MJ Daniel, the hate is something I will never understand. The hate amongst the people against the Jewish people is a tale as old as time. Scapegoat. We're an easy scapegoat because we're a very small population of individual. We're a very small population. They don't necessarily, not too many people will have stepped up for us in the past to stop the many genocides that have taken place amongst Jewish people. The Holocaust, pogroms in Russia, etc. Hell, the genocides of removing us from the Middle East in the first place. People don't want to talk about that, unfortunately. Steven Sayers, how can anyone kill in cold blood? I can't answer that because I don't know. I don't know how anybody could do that. But there are sick, evil, twisted people in this world who don't care about lives, and a lot of those claim to be pro-life. Like, to me, there's no moral difference if you don't care if your actions lead to somebody's death from COVID, or if you don't care if your actions lead to somebody's death via a gun. To me, that's no difference. There's no moral difference there. But the conservatives don't want to see it. Let's see. Let's go for 4 states. I just want to hear New Jersey. New Jersey. Whisper Mason. What's the difference between old New Jersey? Old New York was once New Amsterdam. Why'd they change it? I can't say. People just liked it better that way. It's easy to scream and shout about things in history you have no idea about, like Trump does. It's a much more difficult situation if you're educated. I do not like we have withdrawn support of Israel. Now, we haven't necessarily withdrawn support of Israel. You still have Biden as president. Biden believes that Israel has the right to protect itself. If Harris wins, Harris is going to continue the idea that Israel should have the right to protect itself. Of course, as she says, it matters in what way they do it, and I agree wholeheartedly with her on that point. Problem is that a lot of the people who have caused a less support to go towards Israel are the Israeli government. The people in the Israeli government who are wannabe Trumps, like Benjamin Netanyahu, for example. He's a Trump wannabe. Like, my conspiracy theory, if you will, of what would happen if Donald Trump is elected president. Donald Trump, we won't see. I don't think we would see sales of weapons anymore. I think Trump would happily give Israel all the weapons that Netanyahu thinks he needs so that he could just raise Gaza and the West Bank, so that Jared Kushner and the Trump boys and the Trump family can go develop some properties over there. Trump Gaza, the new golf course. Can you see it? People who say that they can't imagine how things can get worse for the Palestinian people if Donald Trump is elected don't have a big enough imagination. They don't. Not one bit. Peace has no borders. It should have no borders. Unfortunately, on a topic we'll be talking about soon, borders are, something that the conservatives are pretty much lined up in unison about. The way I see it is Netanyahu is Israel's Trump. Am I wrong? You're not wrong, because you said it while I was saying it. So, of course, I'm not a politician trying to negotiate a fair ending of hostilities in the area, and that's the tough thing. I mean, what is Hamas going to do? Is Hamas going to do exactly what Israel wanted to do, which is turn over the hostages and then turn over the leadership of Hamas? That's not going to happen. So there needs to be. So unfortunately, there needs to be something that kind of says, okay. And my ideal one would be like, okay, I would love to be able to get all of the people who have, again, committed atrocities, including people on the Israeli side, to be dragged in front of The Hague. But that's not going to happen either, because you'll never have Netanyahu agree to anything that causes him to go to The Hague. He's doing this in part or mostly because he doesn't want to go to prison in Israel, let alone some global tribunal thing. So I just don't, that's above my pay grade. But what I can say is that you can't have a situation where you're just bombing indiscriminately against Hamas and not worrying about your Palestinian lives lost. But there's also people on the other side who are like, Hezbollah is about to attack them from the north, and so Israel attacks first, and they're like, oh, Israel's doing it again. I'm like, no, that's a completely different thing. That's Israel protecting itself from an impending attack is completely different from Israel defending itself after an attack. Defending from an impending attack is what Israel should have done in the first place with 10-7 because they knew it was coming. So, how old is Nitwit Yahoo? I don't know really. Too old. BB is 74, so he's getting as old as the other two. So it's BB. It's Benjamin Netanyahu's time to go. I don't like calling him BB. I don't know why BB started, but to me, it's like an attempt to make him more cute or whatever. It's like, oh, it's a cute now. Oh, it's BB. No, F that. It's Netanyahu. F him. I'm not calling him BB. So stupid. Let's see. Steve, I'm not trying to sound sleazy. I do wish I found Dan in house chat, folks. A year before I did. It's not you that has to worry about sounding sleazy, I don't think, Steve, isn't it? That's Jeff's job? Sorry, Jeff. Hey, Robin, good to see you. Yes, they might be giants. Thankfully, somebody caught my "they might be giants" comment. Trucker John's here. What's going on, Trucker John? Welcome to the 13th start of the 13th anniversary show. The beginning of the 13th season of Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right. Thank you for coming. Senator Monkey, I'm British. The UK government just withdrew support and rearmament of Israel. Okay. Understandable. Yeah, I'm thinking American-centric. So, but yeah, I mean, how much of a percentage is the UK's support of Israel for as opposed to everyone else? Like that's one thing. Like I think America sells a lot more. But unfortunately, Europe and England, you have a lot of growing anti-Semitism sentiment over there as well. So, and then when us Jewish people try and point out to the conservatives, like good old Jeff on his morning show, try to point out, look, Donald Trump called the people who marched alongside Nazis good people, but yet he doesn't want to see it. They don't want to see it. They don't want to let us try and label anybody as a Nazi more than they have to accept. They have a hard time accepting Nazis as Nazis. So, Whisper Mason, if Donald Trump became president, it doesn't mean support to Israel would stop. It means Netanyahu does something that makes you want to support. It probably means Netanyahu does something that makes you want support to Israel. I'm not quite sure what that means. What I'm saying is Donald Trump becomes president, I think he would be more likely to give Netanyahu a green light and have no conditions on any aid, and there would be no hope in seeking any sort of peace with the Palestinian people. I don't see it happening at all. Even though Donald Trump is responsible partially responsible at least, for the attack in the first place, because he's the one that supplied Russia the secrets that Israel shared with him, and Russia shared to Iran. Iran gave to Hamas, yada, yada, yada. So, yeah, Kushner, DJT, Netanyahu, Putin, Iran, all connected. Shockingly. I have cheesecake too, Jolie. I got this cheesecake, apple crumble cheesecake thing from Costco. It's pretty good. It's not great. It's good. Yeah, this is the start of the 13th season. I've been doing this since 2012. It's been a minute since I've been doing this. I think some of the shows on Blog Talk Radio have been lost into the ether for whatever reason. I didn't save all of the shows. I do have some shows that are there. That's one of the reasons why I'm also putting shows up on YouTube and Twitch, because I want people to be able to watch them or listen to them longer than perhaps what Blog Talk Radio can give us. And caller, I see your call. I'll come to you in a second. Let's see. It's not much. I do like to think that we're not racist and have a lot of voice internationally than we ought to have. I mean, England used to be the empire of the sun that never sets, right? So there's that. But yeah, I mean, I guess with the United Kingdom moving a little bit leftward, I guess, in their parliament, if I'm correct about that, with that comes some of the left sentiment of not wanting to support Israel, because that comes along with some people on the left, and because a lot of people want to villainize Israel for having a state created in their name, because it was an impossible situation that the world had to deal with, and the world just basically said, here you go, Palestinians, you deal with it. Here you go, people living in the Middle East, you deal with the Jews. And then every once in a while, when we want to distract people from things, we can just rile up the hornet's nest, and that's what it is. I believe this should be my friend again. How's it going? How are you doing today?
Yes, my brother, Liberal Dan. How are you, sir? This is Brother Michael.
Hi, what's going on, Brother Michael? How are you today?
Hanging there, tired, and it's 10 o'clock Tuesday morning, and we have a lot of kind of news for you. And as you know, our brothers and sisters in Tel Aviv, the state of Israel, pretty much riot in Israel. And
right. Has it reached a full riot, or is it just a protest? Like, are they actually rioting?
No,
or?
It was a protest, but no, we have if you go to CRUX, YouTube, they show live many things, kind of events that has happened. And yeah, we see riots, kind of fires in the streets, and etc. And they're so mad. And as a result, actually, we believe that Hamas pretty much killed all of the hostages. They don't have much to negotiate with. That's why every time there is a negotiation, the negotiation goes sour, because they don't have it. And probably these were almost the very, very last ones. Maybe they killed them and let the IDF find them. So basically what's going to happen is Bibi is pissed, and Bibi said they're going to get the biggest response from us. So what's that mean, my friend? That means they are going to nuke Gaza and finish the job. And Hezbollah as well too, because they cannot take this kind of craps anymore. And West Bank is next to an preemptive strike on the head of a snake in Tehran, Ayatollahs, is coming. I mean, we are headed for the major events. And after this riots in Israel, now wait this week, we will see more events will be appearing. And other things I want to say, my friend, please check YouTube right now. Put Trump was on Davos, DAVOS.
Right.
And please see what you see. Trump was in Davos, WEF, January. So what's the, and also his vice president also was there too. I mean, many times was chief of the Bilderberg meeting and WEF. And so are we going to vote for the new world order of Trump and new world order of WEF? That by 2030, they say we don't own anything? Please see it.
Well,
I want you, before it's taken out, please take a copy of it on your system, because they might take it off soon. So go ahead, please.
Well, I will look into that. Again, I'm not a huge, New World Order type fan or buying into all of it, but I do see the danger. There is, we agree that the dangers of what Trump will do globally are very real. And as to the how many of these hostages are left, I think it would be reasonable for if talks are to continue. I think it would be reasonable for United States or any of the United States partners in trying to negotiate this deal to try and get the ceasefire done. I think it would be reasonable for them to basically say, hey, we need proof of life of the remaining hostages that you have, and you need to show us that, because if they can't provide proof of life, then that's going to be a real big issue. And again, it's believed that these individuals were killed shortly before the Israeli troops got there. But then again, can you trust Hamas? I don't trust Hamas. They could have been dead for a while now.
No.
You never know. So
Right, exactly. And this is a very big problem for the not only Middle East, it's for all the world. And also on top of this, Zelensky went to Moscow with F-16, close with their F-16 that they have given them. They have put one of the major oil reserve of Putin into the fire. So we have to wait and to see what will happen until September 9th, because September 9th, Putin said we are going to the major red alert with our troops until September 9th. So I don't know what that means. So the major events are coming, September surprises, multiple are coming, and October surprises will coming as well too. So every day will be major events happening, and mankind will not be left, just without any kind of harassment from the calamities into calamities, unfortunately coming until mankind can say, okay, enough is enough. We are going to recognize we are a unity of mankind, that we are all one human race. We are all came from Adam and Eve. Therefore, we are all related to each other. So nobody is superior or is superior to different race or color or etc. And we have to accept that concept before a little bit mankind can, get less calamities down the road. What do you think, please?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, we want to. I'm a nerd. I want the future that Star Trek is promising us. I want the future of post scarcity economy where everything where we can focus our focus on doing good for everybody, for all humankind. That's not going to happen unless we overcome whatever the hate that people have in their systems, and I wish I knew the magic key. I wish I knew the combination to unlock that and to get people just to freaking get along. But we are so far from it right now, and it feels like it's almost impossible to get that done. But I mean, I guess we can't lose hope. We have to have hope that at some point we can fix this and we can set the ship right. Otherwise, what are you fighting for then? But until then, the small battles, which is not such a small battle, is beating Trump is the first thing to do, so he doesn't become dictator on day one. So anyway, but
the bottom line is, we are on constitutional crisis. We are, pretty much very, very close to World War III as well too. Okay, there is so many events are waiting to happen, or it will be happening very soon, that again, we may not have an election, my friend, or it will be delayed. Because what happened to Colorado, that gangs of Venezuelan taken over some buildings, low-income buildings in Aurora. So basically, if this happens in more cities, and maybe everybody will beg for martial law. Because if nobody can come and help the people, and people are living their everything on gold, so that means, we will, martial law is just right at our doors. What do you think, please?
I'm just going to I take with a grain of salt whatever I hear on conservative radio. According to the local news and Aurora police, gang members have not taken over a troubled apartment complex. That is something that has been said multiple times by conservatives to get, kind of fear going. But according to the police, with a grain of salt, of course, take the police department interim chief Morris said officers have been in the area and the complex to learn more about the situation for residents. She said the officers have learned definitely a different picture of what's going on. I'm not saying that there's not gang members that don't live in the community, but we're learning that gang members have not taken over the complex. So the idea of gang members taking over the complex may very well be just more conservative, xenophobic BS meant to try and scare the populace into voting for Donald Trump because they're gonna. That's the only way they can win is via fear of the others, which is definitely not how we solve the problem of everybody hating each other. So,
absolutely, I think it was a fake news, and somehow it was. But I don't know why they talked to the mayor, and mayor kind of said, "Well, yeah, it was all wishy-washy. It was all kind of maybe side operations. It was done." But basically, I go with you for sure because I have all the news. I put it all next to each other, and I see the information and misinformation. And yes, I think it did not happen. And now I see another news that bikers from XYZ states are going towards Aurora and etc. I think, it's just fake news. So we have to understand something. Make sure that we read the correct news information. Don't fall for the trap. That's
why I try and be here. I try and correct the record whenever I see the record being incorrect. So that's why more people need to listen to Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right. But I do want to thank you, my friend, for calling in, Brother Michael. Good to hear from you.
Yes.
Hope to hear from you again soon. And you have a good rest of your night or day. I think rest of your morning.
Thank you. Yes. Good morning. 10 o'clock a.m. Yeah. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right, and to address some of the comments in the chat, I don't necessarily, think that it would be a great idea for Netanyahu to drop a nuke on Gaza or the West Bank or what have you, or on northern Lebanon. If Israel has fusion bombs or hydrogen bombs, I don't know what they have or not, which ones that they have, but if hydrogen bombs, I learned this from Neil deGrasse Tyson. Went to go look it up again. A fusion bomb will create less fallout than atomic bombs, than fission bombs, because fusion is a relatively clean process compared to fission. It's because the fusion reaction is triggered by fission, hydrogen bombs generate at least as much fallout as atomic bombs. Pure fusion weapons will not create the highly reactive byproduct by fission-type weapons. So really depends, I guess, on what type of nuclear weapon Israel has. Let's do that a search real quick. What kind of nuclear weapons? And of course, Google finishes my search for does Israel have. Let's see, has very ground-based ballistic missiles, including Jericho 2, deliver nuclear weapons. Has high weapons-grade plutonium, highly enriched uranium. I don't know. Let's see, it has neutron bombs, tactical nuclear weapons, and suitcase nukes. I don't know if that means that they have fusion or fissions. Of course, the the optics of it all, to use a word that I hate to use, the optics of them dropping a nuke on Gaza would be terrible for Netanyahu anyway, and that would just, I think, put a nail in his coffin. And that would also, I think, escalate it much more beyond what needs to be done, because you can't just nuke the entire... That's going the opposite wrong direction. The direction that you want to go in is less to zero innocents being killed, not more. And a nuke is going to cause more innocents to be killed. So, Steve, who's on the call? It's Brother Michael from... I guess it's 10 a.m. where he is. I don't exactly remember exactly what country he is in, but it's a regular caller. So, first of all, Robin M., thank you so much for the super chat and joining and becoming a liberal Danimal. Appreciate you. Let's see. Trumptopus has 8 tentacles in a lot of places. Nice. Steven Sayers, negotiations now. Again, there should be negotiations going on. Problem is, again, if with 5 now showing up dead, I think it's a reasonable question to ask them for proof of life. Show us who is left. Show us who you have left alive to prove that, to show that we know what you're talking about, that we can trust moving forward, that you're giving us accurate information. Because if you make a deal with Hamas, and they say, okay, we'll return the remaining 100 or so captives, and then it turns out that most of them are just in body bags, it's not going to be pretty. Believe you me, it's not going to be pretty. Netanyahu is not going to be okay with that. I mean, I won't be okay with that either. I'm not going to justify the mass carpet bombing of Palestinians, but that's going to get Netanyahu to go completely off his rocker. Monkey, Trump negotiates with terrorists. Taliban is a perfect example. Yes, nobody seems to remember that Donald Trump invited the Taliban to come have a little chit-chat in Camp David. Nobody seems to remember that little tidbit. Donald Trump loves to negotiate with the Taliban. He wanted to have them here. He wanted to bring in the enemy and embrace them. And again, he likes, Kim Jong-un as well. He loves autocrats. He loves dictatorships. He loves forms of government where leaders will have military parades to celebrate themselves, because that's what he wants. So we're going to go back to the border thing in a second, but the one thing also thing that I did want to bring up there's one other thing I wanted to bring up before we get back to that. Chris has blueberries and strawberries. I want some strawberries. We only have one Earth, Michael. We do only have one Earth. Unfortunately, that people are trying their hardest to kill it. I need to remember to do a Hypocrite of the Week for Wednesday, because I have one. I just didn't have time to do it today because I was too busy trying to prep some things for today's show. So Netanyahu's already facilitating the crazies on both sides, and it serves him. It serves him. He has the benefit of that. When that happens, guess what? It's more people. Whatchamacallit? When he gets the crazies, when Netanyahu gets the crazies all riled up, it enables him to distract with more violence, with more anti-Palestinian rhetoric, with more harm and more pain. So, anyway, there's that. And if you are going to be calling in for a little bit, I went back. We got Khalil. Khalil, I'll get to in a second. First thing I wanted to bring up before we get to the Project 2025 Agenda 47 thing is the fact that circling back to Donald Trump and his IVF ideas, where he either wants the federal government to pay for IVF or he wants force insurance companies to cover IVF. Well, let's think about this for a second, shall we? The person who bitched and complained and moaned about mandates on insurance now wants to mandate insurance coverage of IVF? I mean, I'm for it. I'm all for insurance companies being required to cover things that are health related. If somebody has a health situation that makes them not capable of naturally conceiving, and they need to have make use of in vitro fertilization, then that should be covered as a health expense. And hell, I have no problem with requiring these companies to cover it at 100% first dollar. Great, do it. But he's not going to do it. I don't believe for a second that he will do it, nor do I believe for a second that he'll spend any amount of government money to help people get in vitro fertilizations any more than I thought that he was going to be able to successfully get Mexico to pay for the wall. It's not going to happen. Again, he's just trying to pander, and he's squirming. He's struggling to try and not lose more votes, and he wants to be able to salvage something of the votes that were lost or that are going to be lost because of the Trump abortion bans. Because even though he didn't write them, he enabled them by pushing to get 3 Supreme Court justices nominated and confirmed who would do his bidding on abortion, which is overturn Roe v. Wade, and that they did. And they did so in a way that caused, horribleness to ensue across the land, at least in the states that were able to pass these laws and not give them to the people, because when you give them to the people, states like Kansas and Ohio, the highly conservative states that they both are, said, nope, we want to have our abortion rights. And now Florida is going to have a vote, and hopefully Florida then says, nope, we want to have our abortion rights too. Screw you. Well, Trump is now trying and get some of those people back by saying, oh, well, I'll get IVF covered. I will cover IVF because it's the right thing to do, or whatever. And, again, no reason to believe him, because
it is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. So everybody knows Trump promises the sky but delivers nothing. 4 years of infrastructure week exactly. Let's see. Say, Surrender Monkey, I was the engineer that refurbished George Lucas' analog mixing desk when he digitized Star Wars audio. Is that true? Or is that you, or are you saying about something else? Because I kind of missed something at this front part here. Trump is a Gemini. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Don't throw in other Geminis with Trump. Don't blame other Geminis because Trump's a Gemini. I don't want to do that. Nice. That's pretty sweet. Learn something new every day there, Surrender Monkey. I am very impressed. The nerd in me is very impressed. I almost had the opportunity to meet George Lucas. I was working. There was a movie about the presidency or whatever, and it had Dennis Haysbert, Ed Harris, Gene Hackman. I want to say it also had who is it? Forgot, but it also was, I think, directed by, or George Lucas was somehow involved in this movie as well. And it was back one summer when I was waiting tables back in Maryland, going back for the summer. It was like my last summer, I think, that I went back. So I think it was 20-ish. And I go work at this restaurant, and it's dead one day, and they're like, do me a favor, set up a table of 6. I'm like, okay, because it was dead. I'm like, okay, good, I'll have a nice 6-top. And unfortunately for me, the bartender was really attractive because they all decided that they would prefer to eat at the bar. And them eating at the bar was Dennis Haysbert, George Lucas, Ed Harris, Gene Hackman, and I could have gotten to meet all of those people if not for the fact that we had a hot bartender. So there's that. Yeah, Chris, he's been on camera saying he's both for and against the Florida Amendment. I was for it before I was against it. I mean, he's going to say whatever it is he feels he needs to say in order to make sure that he doesn't lose enough votes, but he's floundering all over the place like the fish at the end of the Epic video from Faith No More. So, I was married to a malignant narcissistic Gemini. He flipped flopped all the time. You can never count on anything he said. I guess I should no longer claim the cusp of Gemini then, because I'm a Taurus, and just go full on Taurus at this point, right? Anyway, let's hit up Khalil. What's going on, man? How's it going today?
Good. I'm getting ready to go to Williamsburg on Friday.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear how it goes.
Yeah. Also, I was talking to a who was I talking to? I thought about this because a lot of the right wingers like to throw out black on black crime,
Right.
and they do the same thing when it comes to illegals versus black people.
Uh-huh.
And then not only that, but also if they were really serious about black on black crime and it wouldn't just be brought up, wouldn't just be brought up when it's convenient for them, they would want to do something about gun violence.
Right.
And they would want to do something. I don't necessarily mean gun control, but they wouldn't mind smart guns to be legal, and they wouldn't be wishy-washy on gun control. Because to me, someone that doesn't want gun control until it's actually discriminatory, something is wrong with them.
Right. Well, I mean,
And,
they love to bring up black on black crime, but they ignore the fact that there's not really a thing. Because I mean, if people live together, people who live more closely to each other or whatever are more likely to have interactions with each other. So if you do have black communities and white communities, then that's clearly going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in neighborhoods where you have a pure mix of people, it's likely to not be. It's not going to be, as cut and dry as it might be if you're in a mostly black neighborhood versus a mostly white neighborhood. White on white crime is the same percentage, so
Yeah.
it happens. So it's just more it's more of them just trying to push back on the idea that the police play any responsibility in the problems that the black community are having today, or that there are any systemic issues in
Absolutely.
general. So, and that's why we have to keep correcting them.
Absolutely, because not only that, but also so many of the people that do that, they have nothing to offer African Americans, but then they want to talk about how bad the Democrats have hurt us. It's like, I don't need any right winger that's not going to be concerned about African Americans and people like me, African Americans in general, to be telling me about how bad Democrats are for me. At least people who can do that are the people that are actually like the modern Republicans, and the ones that that don't support Trump. They're the ones that can actually talk about the Democrats and stuff like that. But people who that don't actually care, they can't really tell us about, who's good for us and who's not, if they want to deny it. Like, it's the same thing. Like, there was a guy, I don't know if his name's I don't know if you know Larry Pratt from Gun Owners of America.
Uh-huh.
I have so much disdain for him because he doesn't support gun control unless it's someone in our party. And like I said, you can't support something that's helpful and then support something that's... So you can't be against something that's helpful and support something that's harmful in the name of protecting liberties. To me, you just can't do that. And
if Stop and Frisk targeted white people instead of black and brown people more often, then the conservatives would be against Stop and Frisk. Unfortunately, for black people, when we've had stop and frisk policies, and Hispanic people as well, those are the people who are majority targeted. Like in New York City, it was like 95% of the people stopped and frisked were either black people or Latino. And so if it was flipped, and if it was 95% white people getting stopped and frisked, you better believe that the NRA and Gun Owners of America would be crying about the Constitution and about how this is a violation of your rights and blah blah blah. But then they only believe that the Constitution applies to white people. And if we covered that a little bit last week, when we covered the whole the Federation of Republican Legislatures or whatever, or assemblies, or National Federation of Republican Assemblies, and their resolution that they didn't believe that Vice President Harris was eligible to be president because of the originalism argument or whatever, because they just don't want people to be president who aren't white, and that's what it all comes
Yeah.
down to.
And the other problem is, like, even in Virginia, you have, like, we used to have this law that said if you're under 18, you couldn't have a cell phone while you're driving.
Right.
But they changed that law, too. They said that anybody that's distracted can be like, anybody that's distracted, that's on the phone can be distracted. So they changed that law, too. So it's like a lot of things need to be changed and tweaked.
Oh, I mean, there was a study that I covered, well, more than 12 years ago at this point, when I was still doing, for like about a half of a year, I did a show on that conservative station called Dan and Dave on the Air. We were the only liberals on the station, and we were fighting the good fight when we could, but they just made it impossible to make it worthwhile for many reasons. But we did discuss. There was a proposed cell phone ban that was going to be coming forward through the legislature, and this one guy who proposed it had to table it that year, and the reason that he asked for it to be postponed until the next year was because he was caught in traffic heading towards the meeting or the committee hearing over the legislation. So I'm like, wait a second. So you're telling me that this person who wants to ban cell phone use in the car called from his car to let us know that he wasn't going to be able to make it? Yeah, no, that's hypocrisy to the nth degree.
Yeah.
And so, but part of that show, before I forget, part of that show was basically going over facts about driving while distracted. It's not the phone that's distracting when you're having a conversation. It's the conversation itself that's distracting. So a lot of times it doesn't matter if your hands free, if you have a thing in your dash that your phone's sitting on, if you have your ears in and you're not touching the phone. The simple fact that you're having a conversation can be distracting to some people.
Yeah,
to other people it might not be. But then the whole thing is that why not just ban distracted driving altogether, as you know, whether or not you're holding a cheeseburger or you're holding a phone or you're doing your hair or your makeup or playing a guitar across the Lake Pontchartrain Bridge here in New Orleans. Whatever it is that you're doing, it should just be, are you being distracted? Fine, that should be illegal.
Yeah.
But if people aren't being distracted, leave them the hell alone. So
yeah, it's the same thing. It's like I don't care how old or how young you are on the phone when you're driving, it's just like if you can't pay attention to what you're doing, because I've seen people any age, all ages, mess up while they're driving when they're on the phone.
Right. Oh, I see people all the time. Like, I'm like, why are you driving so poorly? And I'll go past them. And I'm like, oh, that's why they're too busy looking at their phone. So, I mean, not to say that I don't look at mine, but I also, you know, I used to do ride sharing, so there was a limited amount of phone looking at that I had to do because I needed to accept rides and stuff. So,
because in DC, it's illegal for anybody any age to drive when they're on the cell phone. Right. It's not just if you're under 18. It's like if you're in the cell phone, if you are on the cell phone while you're driving, you could get a ticket no matter who you are.
Right. It's interesting. But, you know.
And that's what they did in Virginia.
I mean, it's definitely an interesting conversation to have, but I mean, again, it's if you're holding your cell phone versus if you're on a call, hands free, you're just as distracted. So I mean, I'm one of those people that's like, okay, if you're clearly distracted while you're driving, you should be able to be pulled over, but let people determine for themselves what distracts them and what doesn't. That might be a little bit of, you know, that to me, sometimes I agree with conservatives on some of the silliness of these laws, in and of just the fact that they're not necessarily needed because you have existing laws that deal with distracted driving. But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna say one more thing.
Sure.
There's a lot of things that they were making. If you're under 18, you could get in trouble for this, that, the other, this, that, and the other, this, that, and the other. So that it's like if you're under 18 or if you're out of state, they were just targeting people who are under 18 all the time with a lot of things. And in DC, they didn't do that. They just said if you're doing this, they did, but like for curfew laws, but not for like cell phones and things like that. They didn't do that.
Well, I'm also questioning of sometimes why they do things and why they make things illegal, and sometimes I kind of dig into like, well, why are they making driving with a cell phone illegal? Is it really because, like, especially in southern states, are they doing it because of safety, or are they doing it because they want another excuse or another reason to be able to pull over a black person? Because
Right,
in Louisiana, we had a situation before where driving without a seatbelt used to be a secondary violation. It's not something you could be pulled over for, but it's something that if you were pulled over and they caught you without a seatbelt, you could have an additional item, I guess, attached to your ticket. They changed it to make it a primary offense. And I was like, why did they do that? And I was like, oh, the reason why they probably did that is because they want to be able to pull somebody over and be like, oh, I didn't think you had your seatbelt on, but you do, move along. Or now that I've stopped you, let me do my general harassment that I would do of people who are driving while black. So
yeah. So it's like even with age and gender, you have to be very careful of the laws that you make. Like not just with race, but age and gender and
right.
ability. You have to be consistent and be more people like in that's why like I'm guessing that's why in the States certain things that because you're underage you can't do. I'm guessing certain things they had to change that because they had a lot of laws on the book on things like that. And it was always if you're under 18, and this happens, you're under 18, that happens. It wasn't just consistent with drivers.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, so well, you have a good rest of your week and enjoy your trip. Let us know how it goes, and as always, I look forward. I'm glad to hear from you, Khalil, and have a good rest of your day.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye bye, man. And there's Khalil from Virginia, a friend of the show. Always calls in. Always good to hear from him. Thank you so much. Let's see. Somebody asked if I did the. Dean Baker says I'm a Taurus too. Nice to see a fellow bullish person in the crowd. Let's see. Robin. Dan was like Alan Colmes. Kinda. It was. I wasn't hired by the station itself. We had to basically pay for our own time to be on the air. So it was kind of like we rented time from the channel. So it wasn't necessarily like I was Alan Combs as part of like Hannity and Combs, but it was a Dan and Dave on the air was both two of us were both liberal, leftist, progressive type folks, trying to do something on the air. But yes, I was on terrestrial radio for about a good maybe 6-7 months before that experiment failed. So. See, Surrender Monkey, I loved every project I was commissioned with, but I was employed as a separate entity. They hired because we would do the work using their resources, terrible project leaders, and low wages. See, Steven Sayers, why do civilians, hunters, or city police need with high-powered military assault weapons? Don't we have the National Guard, FBI, and Homeland Security? Well, Steven, you know what they say, you got to be able to fight back against the tyrannical government with your high-powered rifles, right? I mean, that's what they think. They think that they're going to be able to pull off 1776 against this well-armed military. Good luck there, Chief. Let's see. In my experience, older drivers are more distracted by tech. That's probably true. Trump loses so many phones. It's even a joke in the KGB. Hilarious. Can't wait till he loses his GPS signal where the balcony is. I don't even use audio media when driving. All I need is my senses focused on the task at hand driving. I mean, I listen to the radio. I'll even call in. I'll do it hands-free. The when a kid, no idea how many times mom driving said, turn the radio down, I'm trying to see. That is a funny comment, even if, it doesn't quite make sense. But yeah, I mean, things can be distractive. Like there are times where I would be on the phone or hands-free or whatever with like Cassie, back when we were dating. And there were some times where I would be on the phone with her and no problem, but other times where traffic would just be too much. I'd be like, you know what, this is too much traffic and too much craziness going on around me, gotta go. So I decided, I determined my own safety, and I haven't gotten into an accident because of it. So there you go. See, the removed sticker for a car insurance renewal that created the problem of not knowing if cars being driven are insured visually. Now cops have to computer verify or just assume everyone is. interesting. I don't know if we have a sticker on our French. I don't know if we have a sticker in our. I guess that's Canada, but here in Louisiana, at least, we don't have a sticker that says that we're insured. We have a sticker that says that we're registered, but we don't have a sticker that says we're insured. I guess that's a different thing. So, Andrew, why does Surviving the Fuckery keep bashing this channel? I don't know. Is somebody bashing this channel? First I'm hearing of it. Maybe we might have to go check it out. Is that a YouTube channel? Surviving the... Or is that an individual? Like, is that an individual, or is that a channel itself? Andrew? Let me do a search. Is that how it's spelled properly? Let's see. What's up, Josh? What's going on? Good to see you. It's a channel. Latest from Surviving the Fuckery. I don't know why they would keep... Is this somebody that... I don't know. Is this somebody that I perhaps, had a disagreement with a while back about something? I don't know. Email me a link of a video where they're talking about where Surviving the Fuckery attacks the channel, and I would more than love to be able to react to it. That would be great. So liberaldanradio@gmail.com is my email address. Send me a video of Surviving the Fuckery and what they're doing, because definitely I would love to see what they're saying about me. Or is it in their live now? I guess it could be in their live now. Is their live stream currently talking about that? Because I think they are live. Let's see. Let's turn off the desktop audio for a second, and we're going to pop into their live, because there's 101 watching, and we're going to see potentially what they're talking about. Let's see. I had a friend who's driving, scared the crap out of me. No other distractions other than her talking to me. She pulled out in front of a cop with lights and sirens. Genius. Let's see. Terrestrial radio only does sports now. It sucks. I always wanted fun when I jam with friends on a radio frequency. I have some terrestrial radio that I listen to. I have some terrestrial radio that I've listened to. Like, there's some music, but it's less and less. So let's see. Oh God, she's talking about the MFing illegals. So that just, goes to show what the kind of effery that she's talking about. If she's using the term illegals, if she's using the term illegal, she's jumped on that Trump train. Ooh, let's see. If the rules, her rules, if you're in my chat talking about something and I'm not talking about, you better go away. Hilarious. This is funny. I don't know, we might have to pop in and just kind of watch from the Liberal Dan side. Let's see if we can pop this open and paste the link in there. I'm interested to see what this is all about. You've got me interested there. Might not, if you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, you're probably not going to be able to hear this, but let's see. Surviving the Fuckery is live now. Don't know if there's a live chat replay on prior vids, but a lot of bashing you on there. Interesting. So we'll have to see what the previous one is. So let's just watch this for a second.
Can you hear me, Tar?
Yeah, I hear you.
Well, this is why I did this today. Okay, I had to do it because of her. Okay.
She had to do this because of her.
Under my post, doing what she did. Didn't say hello.
I don't know what Deb did or who did what did or whatever.
Okay, but she said, I am looking for Tar. Motherfucker.
Damn.
You don't come on under my post talking about you looking for some motherfucking body. Like I'm a secretary. You lost your motherfucking mind or you done fell and bumped your goddamn head. I'm not playing these games. Okay? Now, Dan, how many times have we put Tar's fucking damn channel in?
That is just too much for me to even want to worry about. But there you go. That's too much. That is too much for me to even. That's more F words than I say in a month. In over a certain week. We'll see. We're gonna mute this. We might come back to it later. We'll see. Either I'll come back to it later just to kind of see what live chats, where the streams are, or what they may have talked to me about. I really would love to know what the topics were. If it was surviving the fuckery that did it, or if it was somebody else talking about me on that channel. So that'd be interesting. Said, don't think I'll be joining that chat. Yeah, definitely interesting to say the very least. Interesting to say the very least. Let's go ahead though, and we're going to pull up this stuff. Let's go ahead. And we also want to start recording as well. So, for a while now on this channel, I've been talking about, Agenda 47, Project 2025, and I've been saying how we want to do an example of how they're the same and how to prove that they're the same. And I'm going to be coming out with more videos about this topic in the future as it pertains to, why these two are the same thing and why Donald Trump's attempts to avoid being saddled with the ideas in Project 2025 is absurd, and just him trying to dodge the truth whilst we are investigating what he and his conservative pals want to do while in office if he gets back into the Oval Office. So in this video, what I'm going to kind of do is I'm going to kind of approach it differently. Like when I have other better produced videos, it'll just be like, here's this, here's this, here's this, this is the proof, this is how it goes. This video specifically is kind of going to be more of a, this is how you do it as well, how you can go, or how I intend to do it in the future, of looking at Donald Trump stuff, comparing it to Project 2025, and just kind of seeing, okay, how are they the same, and how is Donald Trump at all able to get away with saying that he doesn't support Project 2025? Because there's a lot of fact-checking that goes on out there. It's like, oh, well, people say that Donald Trump wants to push 2025, Project 2025, but he's said he doesn't want to do it, and Project 2025 is from the Heritage Foundation and not him. And while the people who have worked on Project 2025 were from the Trump administration, and it could potentially have parts in the upcoming Trump administration, we're still going to call it false that Donald Trump is behind 2025, even though clearly they're the same thing. But don't just believe me. Let's see the work happen, and let's see what happens. So we got here Donald Trump. One of the unfortunate things that Donald Trump did to his website is he used to have a bunch of videos right here on his Agenda 47, and instead he has made kind of a bullet point list of the things he wants to do, and then he links to the Republican Party platform, which is just mcplatform.donaldjtrump.com, and then a whole bunch of other stuff, but that's a link. You can link from DonaldJTrump.com/platform to this website, which shows the Republican Party platform, which is Donald Trump's platform. And then on the next tab over, we have Project 2025, a mandate for leadership, the conservative promise. Conservative promises are worth less than the paper they're written on. So what do you do? So we're going to look at the border first. We want to look through the border and see what it is that Donald Trump and through the Republican Party wants to do in securing the border. So what's the first thing you do is you go to the Project 2025 website and you search for border. And your first, Dustin J. Kamerick, fellow research for cybersecurity, blah, 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 and the Border Security Immigration Center at Heritage Foundation. So you're going to get hits. So they're in their forward, step 3, or item number 3 here, defend our nation's sovereignty, borders, and bounty against global threats. Secure the border, Donald Trump's. Republicans restore every border policy of the Trump administration, halt all releases of illegal aliens into the interior. We'll complete the border wall, shift massive portions of federal law enforcement to immigration enforcement, use advanced technology to monitor and secure the border. If you search here and again, restore law, order, protect American sovereignty. So they're using the same language that they use in here. So let's keep on going down. Bureaucrats at the Department of Homeland Security, following the lead of effectless administration, order border administration enforcement agencies to help migrants. That's what they're claiming that they're doing. Defend our nation's sovereignty, borders, and bounty against global threats. We, United States, belong to we the people. All government authorities derives from the consent of the people. Our nation's success drives on the character of its people. So apparently they believe that the character of the people coming across the border are not good. They're claiming the left supports open borders, although that's not true. We just kind of click down further and further. And there's additional stuff here. Where they want a new standalone border and immigration agency at the cabinet level, that the remaining parts of DHS be distributed amongst other departments. So basically they want to take DHS and create and close it, then make the immigration agency at cabinet level, which will replace DHS, and then put DHS in other areas. Whereas here, they're basically they were going to shift massive portions of law enforcement to federal to immigration enforcement. Let's see. Search for Homeland. That's not necessarily there. We can go back to border a second. See what else. Again. If we don't have a border, we don't have a country, is what he says. So let's see. So they talk about vetting. Republicans will use existing federal law to keep Christian-hating communists, Marxists, and socialists out of America. Those who join our country must love our country. We will use extreme vetting to ensure that jihadists and jihadist sympathizers are not admitted. So you can't have freedom of speech if you're freedom of thought. If you're a communist, if you're a Christian hater. Notice no mention of Jew hating in this one, mind you. No mention of Jew hating. They don't care about whether or not they hate Jewish people. It's just about Christians at this point. They only use the term Judeo-Christian whenever it's convenient to them. So let's go back over here and we can search their document for vetting. I think there are a few more than just one, yeah. Let's go ahead and scroll to the top. And we're going to search for vetting. Come on. Let's go. Come on, let's scroll. There we go. see, U.S. Citizenship and Immigrated Services. Let's see. Fraud Detection National Security Directorate is currently a small directorate, blah, blah, blah. Prioritized vetting and fraud discretion. Let's see, is that that's part of U.S. Citizenship and Migration. So they're going to use vetting and fraud detection. What else are they going to vet for? They're going to reform the agency, returning it to its screening and vetting mission in protecting its homeland. Training should be returned to federal law enforcement training centers, which should underscore the enforcement rule of USCIS as a vetting agency and rebrand accordingly. Ensure that focus is returned on vetting, base eligibility of applicants, and fraud detention. What the vetting policies are, National Vetting Center, vetting resources. But let's see. Let's see if there's any mention of communism here in the document. There's 5. Let's go ahead and go to the first one. Oh, there's 6 now. It's still searching. So let's go back up to there. American people, we rejected communism. Promise of socialism, communism, Marxism, progressivism, fascism, whatever name it includes. Of course, fascism is the conservative side, not the leftist side. Government control of the economy can ensure equal outcomes for all people. That's not necessarily what people on the left are advocating for. Not equal outcomes, but equal opportunities. But whatever. Y'all don't even want people to have equal opportunities. There's no such thing as the government. Hilarious. But they've made a big deal to bring up communism in their document as well. So both Trump and the, Heritage Foundation have issues with communism, Marxism, and socialism. Let's put love of country. Maybe that might, I don't know if that's going to come up with any hits. That's probably too overly specific. The idea that love is a word. Let's see. Ben Carson and love. Let's see. Nah. That's environmental extremism. Beloved books, tough love approach, blah, blah, blah. Oh, wait, what's the Trump administration's tough love approach to international organizations served American interests. So they liked the Trump. They want to implement Trump things, but no, he has no relation to it whatsoever. Protect faith-based grants recipients from religious liberty violations and maintain biblically based social science reinforced definition of marriage and family. That's not necessarily having to do with borders, but it does kind of back up the whole idea of we want to make sure that the people aren't Christian haters. Because you can't have any Christian haters coming into the country. God forbid you have people who have disagreed with a religion. Gasp, the horror. So let's see. Stop illegal immigration, restore peace through strength. Let's go back through border here, get some more keywords, just to kind of see what else we can hit on in Project 2025. Of course, there's the wall. We could always search for wall and see what they have to say about the border wall, because they love Trump's border wall. Nobody has a better wall. Everyone is the best wall. Nobody has better walls. Yes, Dean Baker, fascism is absolutely their goal. Just taking a while for this to scroll through. I'm sure there's lots of mentions of the wall, because we got Wallace, Wall Street. Mandatory appropriation for border wall system infrastructure. The monies appropriated would be used to fund the construction of additional border wall systems, technology, and personnel in strategic locations in accordance with the Border Security Improvement Plan. Wall. Let's just search wall as well. Let's see. We will complete the border wall. Shift that as well. Against all odds, President Trump has completed hundreds of miles of wall and will quickly finish the job. Will he now? I don't believe you. Republicans will mobilize military personnel and assets as necessary to crack down hard on cartels that traffic drugs and people in our country. Funny, Biden administration is doing just that. But, you know, y'all want to make that a negative. Oh, they're no, Biden's catching them. You didn't catch them. Biden's catching them. He's doing a better job of it than you did. Let's see. Go back to border, find other things that might be interesting to read about to try and find matches. I think we've already seen several things that are clearly let's see. Let's scroll down here. Let's look up deport. That's the other thing. They talked about mass deportation. So let's search for deport and see what they have to say about being deported. To Dean Baker, the right defines morals as they see it. Liberals live it because it's the right to do. Exactly. Let's see. The role of ICE deportation officers should be clarified. Enforcement and removal operations should be identified as being primarily responsible for enforcing civil immigration regulations, including the civil arrest, detention, removal of immigration violators anywhere in the United States without a warrant where appropriate, subject only to the civil warrant requirements of the INA where appropriate. And allow DHS to lead international engagement in the Western Hemisphere on issues of security and migration. Additionally, quickly and aggressively address recalcitrant countries' failures to accept deportees by imposing stiff sanctions until deportees are in fact accepted. So they're again also talking about deporting. So Trump wants to deport. They want to deport. Let's see if they want to use the Navy to block fentanyl in the waters of the region. Isn't the fentanyl coming across the border and not the land border and not the other border? You know, he's just crazy. A fentanyl-free frontier. Same cartels that parasitically run Mexico also work with the PRC to fuel the drug crisis in the history of North America. These Mexican cartels are working closely with Chinese fentanyl precursor chemical manufacturers, importing these precursor chemicals into Mexico and manufacturing fentanyl on Mexican soil and shipping it into the United States and elsewhere. Highly potent narcotic is having a lethal impact, blah, 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 blah. Let's see, where else do they talk about fentanyl? Let's see, fentanyl-free frontier, fentanyl precursor, fentanyl Mexican soil, fentanyl, adoption reform and fentanyl, Biden administration believing that we are swamped by a tide of illegal drugs, particularly fentanyl, even though the Biden administration has stopped fentanyl from crossing the border. Secure the border, Mexico, blah, 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 blah. Precursors from the Chinese Communist Party, the people of China, weapons, human trafficking, blah, 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 blah. These cartels are also violent, blah, blah, blah. In addition to finalizing the southwestern land border wall, the next administration should take a creative and aggressive approach to tackling these dangerous criminal organizations. This would include use of active duty personnel, National Guardsmen who are seeking arrest across the border. Something has been done. Let's see, there can be no disputes, blah, 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 that the Biden administration has opened the southwest border. That is clearly under dispute. You are a liar. But you're the Heritage Foundation, so we expect nothing less. All right, so there's no necessarily talk of the Navy being used there, unless it's in another thing. That's the other thing that these people do, though. They will word things in a way that makes it so that it's hard to find. Because I remember I was searching for something under the FDIC, and you couldn't search FDIC. You had to actually search federal deposit in order to get what they want to do with the FDIC down. U.S. Navy must consider scope and rate of technical change. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Reestablish the general board. One of the problems that they have, just on a non-related subject, is that the conservatives will often say that China has a bigger navy than we do, but they count actual hull and not the sizes of the hulls when they're counting. So like if you have like 1,000 dinghies, that's 1,000 ships compared to one aircraft carrier. Who's going to win? I think the aircraft carrier and its complement of support ships and airplanes or jet airplanes will win the day over such things. So, Marine Corps, Navy. So it doesn't seem like they're mentioning the Navy here when it comes to the border, but you know, it's not going to be exactly the same. But you are going to have situations where we've already seen where there's a lot of overlap between the policies that are being pushed by, you know, by the Trump campaign and, you know, his Agenda 47 and the 2025 mandate for leadership. Let's go to let's search for sanctuary city. Let's just search sanctuary because it could be under cities or city. Congress should require compliance with immigration detainers to the maximum extent with the 10th Amendment and set financial disadvantages for jurisdictions that implement either official or unofficial sanctuary policies, as opposed to what he says here. Republicans will cut federal funding to sanctuary jurisdictions that release dangerous illegal alien criminals into our streets rather than heading over to ICE. So it's the same thing. That's the same thing. Here it's just saying we're going to cut federal funding to sanctuary jurisdictions, even though there's no such thing, because no local government has the authority or the ability to enforce border policy. That power rests only with the federal government, and as such, the states, local governments can't do it. So you can't blame local and state governments for not doing what they're not allowed to do. But stop sanctuary cities here, and same thing here. Congress should require compliance. Use financial disincentives for jurisdictions that implement either official or unofficial sanctuary policy. So financial disincentives and cut funding is the same damn thing. So again, it's the same idea, just a different way to word it. Ensure our legal immigration system puts American workers first. Republicans report is merit-based immigration. Let's see if they even have that here. If they have merit-based. See if that happens to be a keyword here, but it's probably not. Oh, there's one. There's one thing that we've caught. Or there's two. Let's see what it says or how it's worded this one to see if this has anything to do with that. There you go. The incoming administration should spearhead an immigration legislative agenda focused on creating a merit-based immigration system that rewards high-skilled aliens instead of current system that favors extended family-based and luck-of-the-draw immigration. To that end, diversity visa lottery should be repealed, chain migration should be blah, 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 blah. Whereas here, Republicans will prioritize merit-based immigration, ensuring those admitted to our country contribute positively to our society and economy and never become a drain on public resources. We will end chain migration and put American workers first. Again, they're saying the exact same things. So if they're saying the exact same things, how can any fact checker claim that they're not the same policies? So if Donald Trump's supporting Agenda 47 and Agenda 47 is Project 2025, then because A equals B and B equals C, Donald Trump ipso facto supports Project 2025. And we've now seen several more additional examples of why these two are the same exact policies, just worded differently. It's just different wording. It's the same thing, just worded differently. They want a merit-based immigration. Both say the same thing. They want financial disincentives or cut funding to so-called sanctuary cities. Both are the same thing. They want to build the wall. They want to, change enforcement of and retrain people in the Department of Homeland Security or whatever to make it so that they are working on, vetting, and then they want to make sure that the people that are vetted are the so-called right people to come into this country. It's the same thing. And from this point on, we're going to be making more and more videos that explain why Project 2025 and Agenda 47 are the exact same thing. So any attempts for conservatives to claim that they're not can be shown that they're wrong, and you can just point to the playlist that I'll be creating tonight after the show is over, and you can share that playlist, share individual videos for that playlist, etc., as they get made. So, what do you think of this video? Do you like how I showed you how to go ahead and do those searches and try and get around how Project 2025 will sometimes try and reword things in such a way to make it harder to find? Do you now agree that on the issue of border, at least, Project Agenda 47 and Project 2025 are the same thing? If you do, leave your comments below. Remember to like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and as always, have a good day. So there we go. That's that video again. For anybody who happens to be new to the channel, that's a lot of times what we do here is I'll record things live, and then I'll just take that clip, upload it directly up to the to YouTube, and so it'll be visible to share individually from this point on, so you don't have to share the entire show to just get that little 22-minute bit. So, Andrew, remember when MSM was on the kick that Trump was borderline obese? What did I say then? I said to not mock Trump's obesity, is what I said, because I don't think that Trump's obesity is relevant in the vast majority of things. Because whether or not Trump is fat or thin, it doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference is what his policies are going to be. Now, I mean, if you want to say that he's potentially lying about his weight, fine. But I remember there was a video or there was a picture recently that I shared recently from my Facebook memories. And my Facebook memories, it was like somebody took a picture of Colin Kaepernick and took a picture of Donald Trump and basically said these two people are supposedly the same weight. Well, and it could very well be true in that, you know, muscle is much more tight and, you know, packed than fat is. So you're going to look better if you're muscular at 215 than if you're obese at 215. So I'm less worried about Donald Trump's weight in and of itself. I'm more worried about his other policies that are taking place. And I think when we do things like attack people for how they look, for their like obesity or whatever, I think that becomes that distracts and takes away from the actual problem that we're trying to solve. That takes away from the issues, and it weakens our argument. And a lot of people won't care. They're like, I don't care about picking on Trump because it's Trump, and I don't give a crap about his feelings. But just as a reminder, when you make fat jokes, you make fat comments at anybody's expense, regardless of how evil that person might be, that person's not going to hear you, but the other people may very well hear you, and those other people may very well see, hey, you know, maybe I shouldn't be listening to this person because this person is spreading hatred of people just because they're fat and not talking about the meat of the issues. So that's what my point had been in the past, and it still remains to this day. There's no reason to pick on Trump. Now Trump's, you know, weird makeup that he might do, you know, his orangeness or whatever, and then the weird things that goes on with that, that's a choice. You can if he wears like a horrible looking outfit or whatever, that's a choice. That's not necessarily something that he is. But to many people, obesity is not a choice. It's something that's very hard to deal with. A lot of the times, obesity is based in childhood abuse, as we discussed on the program before. A lot of times, obesity is something that's a symptom of other causes, which unfortunately too many in our medical field tries to make obesity the symptom. Obesity the cause of all the other symptoms, when it's the like obesity is causing you to be diabetic, obesity is causing you to have liver, obesity's problems causing you to have this issue and that issue. No, maybe it's all these other issues that you're dealing with that are causing you or helping you or making it harder for you to lose weight, and i.e. keeping you fat. So we have a lot of problems with obesity. So I prefer that we not discuss Donald Trump's weight as at all relevant to whether or not he should be elected or not. Again, I know a lot of people that don't care if they insult his feelings, but again, it's not his feelings that you should be concerned about. It's the other feelings, the other people's feelings that you might happen to care about, that you should be worrying about. Say Dean, Project 1825, idiots. Absolutely. Project Gilead, so to speak. Let's just kind of roll back. She's got some serious anger management issues. Yeah, it does seem like she's very cursy. Maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to up the potty mouth language, and that'll get more people attracted to my show, right? Because if it wasn't for let's see, are they still yapping away there? It looks like she's still yapping away, and it looks like she's very angry still. I don't have the volume on, but she's just cursing. She looks. If I had to guess what she was saying, she's definitely saying things that are curse word related. Be interested. If the show's not over by the time I get over, I might pop in to be like, hey, I heard someone mention my name up in here. So, just to see. Unfortunately, if they have been talking about us, they haven't really been flooding over to the channel. Let's see. Say, Robin, now even the Tea Party are rhinos in the cult of Trump. That's actually true. There are people who are definitely Tea Party folks who the Tea Party was supposed to be about, small government type stuff, and they're but they're also, bigots and other stuff like that. But those people were like sharing images when Barack Obama came to the University of New Orleans campus. I got to cover it when I got a press pass to go to the event because I was on the radio, which is cool. But I went to the event or whatever, and I saw these horrific signs of like Obama, in African garb, just really racist crap. They tried to put Obama in like Hitler type, garb is in the images and posters that they were using, when in reality they're the ones who were being supported by the actual Nazi types. But it happens, and
it is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Yeah, he only hires the best people. Nobody hires better people. Funny those open borders busts. Yeah, exactly. They also ignore the term Greco-Roman law describing the basis of our government, which they want to destroy. Let's see. Did the golden rule come from the Bible? I don't know if it really did or not. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Maybe. I mean, it sounds kind of Jewish. The Jewish one that I like quoting is, if I am only for me, if I am not for me, who else will be for me? But if I'm only for myself, who am I? And if not now, when? So, which basically means like you should always look out for yourself and take care of yourself, but you should also make sure to look out for other people as well. And why wait? Let's see, Andrew. I wonder if surviving the fuckery is smart enough to understand they're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you. Said, when did people get to make their own definitions of words? Well, Donald Trump does. He has the best words. Nobody has better words. Sarah actually brought up RFK Jr. today while talking. Where's the facepalm meme? Oops. Biden cracking the crack shade. Yep. I mean, yeah. I always wondered, like, why were the conservatives complaining that Biden caught and arrested people at the border with fentanyl? It's like, you wanted him to let them through? Did you have business relations with somebody that was stopped by the Biden administration? Are you part of the drug trade? Are you complaining? Is that what the Republican Party, is that what they need to raise funds to run for office? Is fentanyl? Is that why you're mad? See, Stephen, do you know that our nation is in serious decline? Doesn't seem like it to me, but then I'm nobody. Donald Trump likes to say it, because if Donald Trump were to actually say that America was great, he wouldn't have anything to make great again, and as such, he wouldn't need to elect him. So Donald Trump has to spend his campaign denigrating the entirety of the country that he supposedly wants to lead. Let's see, what's the metal-looking circle thing on the surviving Effery's forehead? I don't know. Let's see if I can squeeze that back open. No, that's not the right one. I don't necessarily see anything metal on the person's forehead at this time. Here's the thing that bothers me. Surviving the Fuckery has 21,000 subscribers. That just drives me nuts. When the idiots have that many subscribers, it drives me nuts. I always said MAGA pissed they can't get their nose candy so easy no more with Joe. Probably. This manifesto was inviting trouble, World War kind of trouble, probably. They watched too many movies when they wrote this up, pretty much. All propaganda based in hateful lies, exactly. Let's see. Jeff, daughter and I almost started a bar fight when son was on stage singing. I was behind him and could tell she was about to throw a punch. Nice. Sort of monkey, you should never attack someone's look or fashion whilst pointing out their obvious futrickery, but try and stop me. Remember when, let's see, we already got back to Andrew's comment about the obesity of Trump. So let's see. Look for burned out cities, LOL. Sanctuary is a song they stole. In that case, to go home, Melania. I don't want Melania to go home. I'm only talking about the people who are coming illegally through the Mexican border. If you're coming any other way, like through my bedroom, that doesn't count. Although, I think it would be kind of a stretch to say that Melania was coming at all in any bedroom that Donald Trump is in. Right? Let's see. At some point, you can and should accuse the Republicans of not loving the country and saying that they represent because the dreams are not reality. True. Hey, Jojo Mojo, good to see you. Just scrolling through the chat. If you have a funny little mustache, you can come right in. I love the funny mustache. Nobody loves funny mustaches more than your Fuhrer. I mean, Donald Trump. So I'm 6 feet even and 245, and my medical record shows me as morbidly obese. I wish I was. I'm 6 feet tall, and I wish I was 245 pounds. I can't remember I think the last time I was 245 pounds was like I was a junior maybe in. I think I was a junior in college is when the last time I was 245 pounds. But even, Mark McGuire, for ever tall he was and how jacked he was, all built like, he was supposedly morbidly obese. So BMI isn't perfect. BMI isn't perfect. Less water and muscle mass. Are we still on the trifle and cheesecake bit? I meant 235 pounds. What's 10 pounds between friends, right? Jeff, no comments about that one. That one just went completely to my dirty filter. You can't shame Trump, but you can humiliate him. Of course, but you can humiliate him unlike, losing the popular vote to Hillary. That's something that pisses him off. You call him fat, and he'll just be like, I'm not fat. I haven't seen myself being fat in forever. Probably doesn't own a mirror either. But it doesn't matter because that's not the important issue. See, I remember seeing the same thing with Clinton. I saw a full-size cut of him dressed as Hitler. Yeah. Jewish philosophy is nice. I like to think so. Josh, I wish I went to butt cheeks for padding. See, Surrender Monkey. If that, then this. I misunderstood in ally excitement. Nice. America is grape. Donald Trump. Make America grape again. And by grape, they probably mean the way that you have to say it on TikTok, unfortunately. Andrew, I tried trolling you, but you took the surprisingly respectable road. Well, I try to be respectable, be it surprisingly or not, right? So, I mean, I am an obese person myself, so, it would be rather hypocritical of me to be like, yeah, don't mock me for being fat, but mock him. Only person I typically mock for being fat is myself, but that's because I enjoy self-deprecating humor. See, Trump's speech of a dying country is projection, all of his scams and crimes falling, that justice will soon be given him in turn. It's a cry for help. Jeff, I gained 3 pounds since the last doctor. Hey, you want more? I can easily donate some more. Dean Baker, I'm just big bone. I'm not fat, I'm big bone. I'm festively plump. God damn it. Kid trying to eat my papa. My neighbors let their dogs crap right behind my dining and living room. Ooh, that's not good. I mean, I don't really control where my dogs go, but it's in the backyard and it's nowhere near anybody's windows. So, there's that. Hey, at least we have more views than the crazy one did. 115, which is better than last week. Dan, my ex said the same. What, you can have some of her poundage? Or did the ex make the what's 10 pounds between friends joke and then, you know, make it dirty? Let's see. Oh, it's 10 o'clock. Wow, time flew. This show went by really quickly today. I don't know why it went so quickly as it did, but it just seems to have gone very, very quickly. So hey, look at that. One other thing to bitch about before we go, like there's. I think I maybe brought up the new law in Louisiana about pertaining to whether or not they're supposed to cover weight loss surgery. Used to be like this whole sorts of hoops you had to jump through, a whole bunch of rigmarole. And I currently, despite the fact that my knees hurt and that I'm morbidly obese, doesn't matter. I'm not covered for weight loss surgery. So that's just right out. But there's a law that was passed in Louisiana this year that requires insurance to cover it next year. So if you're a new policy next year, you have to cover weight loss surgery January 1st, 2025. That's when it has to start. But if you're an existing policy, you have to cover it upon renewal no later than January 1st, 2026. So our plan year starts January 1st, 2025. So I have a feeling that my insurance is going to be like, hey, we're not going to cover this procedure until January 1st, 2026, which frickin' sucks. But it is what it is. Sorry, wait, that's Donald's line.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. So I'm waiting to hear back. Maybe something might happen different. It's possible that the work benefits people. Might try and convince them to cover it early. But I remember when I worked for a different company, and it was actually a company that did like life insurance and some like health indemnity products. Their insurance plan at that company had, before the Affordable Care Act passed, they didn't have any maximum. Like there was no coverage maxes. Like you would have your policy, and the coverage maximum would be nothing. There would be no max. You had no max out of pocket. So the Affordable Care Act passes, and it says all of this stuff has to be in by this date. So you have to start by this date. So they had a full year of insurance to, I guess, prepare to be a valid plan underneath the Affordable Care Act. So until that happened, for 1 year, that insurance company went to a $5 million max out of pocket. For that 1 year. I don't know if that saved them any money or whatever, but I specifically remember this because I remember how absolutely crappy it was on their part. That they're like, okay, well, we used to cover your health issues with no maximum out of pocket, and next year we'll have to cover it with no max out of pocket. But this year, if you just happen to get too sick and you hit the $5 million max out of pocket, then you're screwed, and you're going to have to pay the rest of it out of your own pocket as well. Which just makes you delay things. You might have to delay. You would have to delay something for like, okay, well, I can't get this procedure done because I'm hitting my maximum out of pocket. So let me wait a month before the new plan kicks in and there's no more max out of pocket. Meanwhile, you might need that procedure to somehow stay healthy or to live. That's why all of this insurance stuff is crap. And while I'm fine with getting to a similar situation to Medicare for All if we could actually have a public option that we can buy into with our tax dollars. It would probably be much better just to have Medicare for All and just be done with all the insurance BS, because the insurance companies have proven time and time again that they can't be trusted to actually cover things what they're supposed to cover. But the other thing to talk about, though, is the fact that I'm supposed to be covered by my doctor wanted to give me Zepbound, which is an injectable. So it's either GLP-1 or GLP-2, whatever it is. I think it's the same thing as Mounjaro, except Mounjaro is the one that's approved for people who are diabetic, and Zepbound is approved for people who just are obese. And I found out the other day that my doctor's office filled out the prior authorization wrong. And that's why I couldn't get the Zepbound. Not because I wasn't qualified, but because they put yes that I would be taking this medicine with other weight loss drugs, when in reality the answer is no, I'm not taking it with other weight loss drugs. F you. Why did you screw up with me? So if they don't get this fixed, I'm probably going to have to find a new primary care physician, because I'm not dealing with somebody who is going to mess with my health and not adequately or correctly put in the right information to the questions when asked, because this is my health that I'm talking about. I could have been on this medication and dropping weight if they would have filled out this thing correctly, potentially. Now, if it turns out that and it's also possible that because they did it wrong and they delayed in fixing it, it's maybe possible that I may have to wait longer to get another prior authorization because of their rules pertaining to prior authorizations. And prior authorizations are just another word for, we want to put the patient have to jump through more hurdles and more loopholes, or not loopholes, but to be able to jump through more hurdles so that they can't get the care that their doctor thinks that they need. Because insurance is always consistently trying to make it so that you can't get the coverage that you need. Simple as that. And that's why insurance is a huge scam. So Surrender Monkey, great stream. Liberal Dan, I do enjoy you laughing at the silliness we find ourselves in. I do try to find humor and try to inject humor whenever possible. I'm not as good as Hal with it, but sometimes I've even made Hal laugh on times, especially with my bits. So that's always a good thing. Caller, I'm about to end. I'm sorry. So I am about to end the show. So if you're try calling in Wednesday, we'll be back online Wednesday. Let's see. My cousin had surgery. He's doing great. Dry sense of humor. Boo. I feed my dogs good homemade food, but they prefer junk they found on the ground. Well, obviously. That's what you use for your type 2. What, the Mounjaro or your Mounjaro or your Zepbound? Probably the Mounjaro, but let's see. Anyway, so there's that. Is my volume down? I don't know if my volume. I might have leaned back from the thing, but it's also possible that frickin' whatchamacallit decided to not or change my volume as it often does. So it happens from time to time, unfortunately. But you know, it is what it is. Oh wait, I'm sorry, that's Trump. Again.
It is what it is.
And again, just a reminder, everybody knew the reason I constantly play It Is What It Is over and over again is not because I like Donald Trump, but it's because we need to remember exactly what it is that Donald Trump said that for, which is the fact that, you know, people were dying from COVID during his administration. And when asked about those deaths, he said, you know what? It is what it is. So there you go. But that is the end of today's episode of Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right. Tomorrow I'll be streaming on Nerdy Dan on Twitch, twitch.tv/nerdydan.com. And then I'll be back here Wednesday. Look for the video that I created in the middle of the show to be promoted soon. It will probably be live sometime tonight or tomorrow morning. Probably tonight for the Danimals and tomorrow morning for everyone else. So until the next time I see you, this is Dan Zimmerman with Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.